Happy New Year! As you can all see, I shaved my beard off. One of the reasons I did that was because that girl at my new school where I'm teaching started panicking and freaking out and crying when she saw me because you don't see too many men in Asia with beards. That explained before that DHT, dihydrotestosterone, the hormone that causes hair loss, is the same one that causes you to grow facial hair and more hair on your bodies. That's exactly why you don't see too many bald Asian men, or and why most Asian men don't have much body hair and why they can't grow very much facial hair. That's also why Orlando Bloom, the actor, has great hair, but whenever you see him with facial hair, it's just scruff because he doesn't produce enough DHT. Well, anyway, I didn't know at the time what I know now, pagonophobia, the fear of beards. Pogonophobia is one of the more common fears out there, one of the most common phobias. Other irrational fears and common phobias out there, I explained coulrophobia, fear of clowns, because when everybody sees clowns, they think of Pennywise the Clown from It, or the Joker from Batman, or they think of Captain Spaulding from House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Reject, or the serial killer John Wayne Gacy, who would dress up as a clown when he entertained children. They don't ever think about circus clowns for whatever reason. Now, the reason why pagonophobia is so common is because of the way men with beards are depicted in movies. If it's an older guy, he's always a wise character. He's a mentor character to the main character, like Gandalf, Merlin, Mr. Miyagi, Qui-Gon Jinn, then Obi-Wan Kenobi, and now Luke Skywalker. Spoiler alert, at the end of the last Star Wars movies, the last Star Wars movie, Luke Skywalker shows up at the very end and he's got a thick beard. They do that because it makes him look wise and intelligent and smart and like he knows his stuff. It's always either an old guy who's a mentor character. Another one was Juan Ramirez from the Highlander movie, the original one. Or if it's a younger guy with a beard, he's always the bad guy. He's a pirate, a gang member, a barbarian, or a scoundrel of some kind. They oftentimes make the bad guy have a beard, like Hans Gruber from Die Hard, the Sheriff of Nottingham from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and they even had a list of actors who specifically grew out their beards to play bad guys. Jeff Bridges shaved his head and grew a beard to play Obadiah Stane in the first Iron Man movie. The second one, Mickey Rourke grew out a beard to play Whiplash, the bad guy there. And Denzel Washington grew out his beard to play Alonzo Harris, the bad guy from Training Day. They do that for a reason. They do that because the beard makes the bad guy look strong, powerful, and dominant, and overbearing, and menacing like an alpha male. And they do that to make the bad guy look like the favorite, the good guy look like the underdog against the bad guy. The same reason why oftentimes the bad guy will be 7 feet tall and the good guy will be only about 5'7", or why in old Western movies the bad guys always wore black and the good guys always wore white, so you could differentiate them. So, these people in Vietnam watch the same movies you and I do. I'll post below a link of famous bad guys that had beards and actors who actually grew out beards specifically to play bad guys. Michael Shannon was one of them to play General Zod in Man of Steel. Terrence Stamp grew out his beard to play Zod in Superman 2, the one with Christopher Reeves. Alan Rickman grew out his beard to play Hans Gruber and the Sheriff of Nottingham. Other actors were Leonardo DiCaprio, Denzel Washington, Jeff Bridges, what the hell is his name? Will Ferrell to play Mugatu in Zoolander, that stuff. That's the reason why, because it made him look domineering and menacing. So that's why pagonophobia was on the short list of more common phobias, irrational fears. The number one common phobia, I believe, was arachnophobia, fear of spiders. And that stands for a reason, because whenever you see spiders in movies, they're always deadly spiders. Everyone remembers that movie Arachnophobia that lives right up to its name. They remember the general spider, that big male spider that mated with the house spider and created all these deadly spiders. Everybody remembers specifically that scene in the beginning of the movie where that guy's laying down in his tent because he's got the fever, and that male spider crawls up his leg and bites him in the leg, and then he starts seizing and starts croaking because he can't breathe, and then all of a sudden he dies because the spider injected him with venom. That's why everybody's terrified of spiders. I imagine that movie didn't help matters any, but as I explained in my last video, usually the bigger spiders like tarantulas, Goliath bird eaters, they're harmless to humans. I remember seeing an old episode of Alfred Hitchcock from the 80s. It had Pamela Sue Martin from the Hardy Boys. She played, I don't remember her character from the Hardy Boys, but she played an unfaithful wife running around on her husband. Her husband had all these exotic creatures that look scary, that look deadly. He had a bunch of snakes and a bunch of spiders. I remember one scene where she knocked over the cage of his big tarantula named Stella. And then you see Stella crawling up the covers when they're sleeping. You think Stella's angry and wants to bite her, but no. But she winds up sleeping next to the husband because she feels lonely. She didn't bite anybody. And that leads me to the other fear. The number two fear of the most common phobias is ophidiophobia, fear of snakes. Because, like I said, people see the same movies you and I do, and when you see snakes, they're always deadly. Like Snakes on a Plane, Anaconda, movies like that. Truth be told, there's 328 breeds of snakes on Earth, but only 16 of them are poisonous. The thing is, the ones that are poisonous, that have venom, are the ones that give all the other snakes a bad name. Those are the only ones people hear about. Cobras, mambas, coral snakes, water moccasins, adders, those snakes. You get the idea. In that same episode from Alfred Hitchcock, the woman got locked in the bathroom because she was in there with a snake. She actually bought a snake to eat up all the other creatures that her husband had, despite her husband, and she wanted to buy a coral snake, and for whatever reason, the idiot snake salesman gave her the wrong snake, gave her a king snake, and the woman started freaking out because she got locked in the bathroom with the king snake that she thought it was a coral snake, and then next thing you know, when they bust down the door, she died from a heart attack from fear, because the king snake had red, black, and white stripes, not red, black, and yellow stripes like a coral snake. That's why the guy made the mistake and gave her a king snake instead of a coral snake. And the husband said, "What happened? King snakes don't bite." Well, he knew that because he was the expert. But the point is, most fears like that are irrational. They're based on limited experience. People don't do their homework. They're knee-jerk reactions. But actually, one of the more common fears I'm trying to overcome it is trypophobia. Fear of objects that have tiny clusters of asymmetrical holes. Like, for example, sponges, coral reefs, lotus pods, beehives, the stuff like that. I actually read that's more of an evolutionary trait because a lot of deadly creatures like the blue ring octopus have a lot of holes in them. It's actually a way to repel those creatures away from them, and that's also makes us naturally not want to go near a hornet's nest or a beehive. Or sometimes you think of it as being just dirty and filthy. You think of some kind of a cocoon with larvae coming out. Nobody wants to think about it because it makes them think of something unpleasant. And that's why people are afraid of beards. They either think the guy's mean and nasty and cruel if he's not old and wise and intelligent, or they oftentimes think he's unhygienic, like some inbred hillbilly in the backwoods or in the swamp, or some mountain man who doesn't bathe very often. I oftentimes worried that people would try to associate me with Duck Dynasty because my last name is Robertson. As far as I know, I'm not related to those guys, but they're a bunch of hillbillies, a bunch of simple-minded fools. People don't really take the time to notice that I actually groomed my beard. I tapered it. I shaved the cheek lines. I shaved the neck lines. I trimmed off the loose ends. I would shampoo my beard 3 times a week, actually, when you're supposed to do it only once, because too much shampoo can, all the chemicals from there can really do a number on your hair. That's why, actually, there is such a thing as bathing and cleaning too much. That's because of mysophobia, another fear of germs, but actually what that does is it weakens your immune system. That's why French women have such healthy looking hair, because they only shampoo and condition it once a week. Those chemicals can really do a number on your hair. And the soap, after a while, can actually weaken your immune system. See, that's why I work out every day. I bathe all 6 days a week. I work out, but 3 of them I actually lather myself in soap and shampoo. The other 3 I just rinse myself off after I do a heavy workout because I don't want to weaken my immune system. That's why they say now one of the worst places you can go when you're sick is hospitals, because everyone's so used to all the sanitation there at the hospital, the germs are starting to evolve there, and they're harder to fight. That's one reason why the bubonic plague happened, is because people tried to kill off all the rats with the fleas, and they evolved, and they didn't have very good sanitation back then, and voila, that's what happened. So, I kind of went off on a tangent here, but that's the reason why I shaved off my beard. I'm thinking about growing it back. I'm still on the fence about that one. As you can see, I got some 5 o'clock shadow because I shaved day before yesterday. But I'm hoping over time that people will overcome the fears that you hear about. I want my students to get to know me. That's why I shaved. Also, I did it because I wanted to shock all my coworkers for New Year's. I didn't know we had a New Year's Eve party planned. So that's why I did it during the company Christmas party. I did it a week early. But nonetheless, I'm hoping that my students will get to know me, and by the time my beard is grown back fully, that it'll just be something as inconsequential as the color of my tie or whatever. It's just, a lot of them are silly. Trypophobia, like I said, is actually an evolutionary trait. But one of the more common ones, actually I have it, is acrophobia. I hate heights. I have no intention to ever go bungee jumping or skydiving. I may someday, but it won't be anytime soon. And that's also why whenever I fly on a plane, I oftentimes like to sit in the aisle seat and not by the window. And that's exactly why, if you see my video from last year where I was in Bangkok and celebrating my birthday at Cloud 47, I wouldn't go anywhere near the edge because I'm not afraid of height. I'm not a fan of heights at all. One movie that prompted my acrophobia was that movie Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone, where he was a mountain man, a rock climber, and the cliffs of Colorado, somewhere in the Rockies or in one of the offshoots of the Grand Canyon. And in the beginning of the movie, he rescues a couple that's stranded on the cliffs when they were doing some rock climbing, and he accidentally drops the girl. When you're falling from that high, you obviously know you're going to die. There's no 2 ways about it. It's not even a topic for debate. But I just wanted to take this time to say Happy New Year to everybody, and I wanted to let most of you know that most of these common phobias you hear about are usually something perpetuated by the media, and like all fears, 9 times out of 10 are due to ignorance. So I hope this was entertaining, at least educational. I'll post the links down below of all the famous bad guys with beards and actors that grew out their beards to play villains. So, anyway, have a good night, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.